Welcome to another episode. Today, I'm joined by Brett from MegaETH. Brett, thank you for joining. Really looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Arjun. Is that how I pronounce that? Arjun?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty used to hearing like multiple variations of this. This is pretty good.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
Okay, I mean, I want to start simple. I've been following you for a long time on Twitter, obviously. But like, I've never heard your story. Like, what's your background and how did you end up in crypto?
Oof. I bought a bag in 2017. Like, honestly, like, that's the thing, right? You don't understand anything, and you probably saw your friends making money, and you kind of understood it. Therefore, you started making, like, just like spending money and trying to buy stuff, not really understanding the deeper stuff. Same story for me. My background is I was in healthcare IT for about 12 years as a consultant. And we would literally have a project for 2 years that then built up to a single day. And then usually had like a 7 hour or 7 day window around that day where you're just like doing 24-hour support. You're in like a little whatever. Well, it just so
Mhm.
happened that one of these go lives, we were all together, just literally a group of like 7 of us on this technical team. And it was when CryptoKitties were popping off and
Nice.
like breaking Ethereum, all this stuff. So people were talking about it, like, these things are going for how much? Like, what's going on? Like, and it's breaking something. I don't know. I had friends that were like more deep into it. So I was like, all right. So I started researching it, doing whatever, ended up getting a little pilled because I am technical. So I understood some of the technical implications of this stuff. I was young with markets, so I didn't understand like timelines and what it would take to roll the stuff out and how long like it just takes for things to propagate, all that. So I got in, I bought a bag of utility coins from 2017 because I thought like the
Are
world was
any
going to
of
come
those
on
still
chain.
around?
No, I mean they are. The V chain is the biggest one that I went after. I remember specifically I went into Reddit and I bookmarked or I saved the V chain subreddit and
Mhm.
I saved the IOTA subreddit because those are the two that I was like, okay, one is supply chain, makes total
Yeah.
sense, and the other one was like future tech I don't understand, and that was IOTA.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's
neither of
so
them are
weird that
prominent.
all of us were red pilled on VeChain at some point. Like it just made sense, right? Like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
coin, a crypto for supply chain, and there's a coin for it. It has to go higher.
in in a little bit better than Dentacoin, but like
Yeah.
yeah, I take it that's your era too. Is that when you came in?
I mean, a few years later, but I don't know, for some reason, even in 2020, VeChain was still around on like YouTube
It
videos,
came
right? So
back.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
doing my research. I was like, Cardano, VeChain, all of these coins.
yeah,
And I ended up
yeah,
buying like a small bag of all of these coins. And
yeah.
luckily, I didn't have enough money at that point. So like all of them are not around anymore, but I didn't lose too much money.
Yeah, I've had expensive lessons over the last 5 years. I tend to go a little too hard on stuff.
Mhm. I mean, well, that's the beauty of crypto, right? So I would ask you, like, what's a core memory for you in all of these years in crypto? Like a good thing and a bad thing.
Poor memories. I'll start with a bad one, but like honestly, man, like I'm not a huge believer in like yes, like the outcome was less than optimal, but I'm more of a like you can basically learn lessons from everything, and like as long as you take something away from it, then it's not really bad, regretful, whatever. So I would say uh, friend tech was something out, and like it was bad mostly for me. I actually got in early, so like I wouldn't have been wrecked by the actual going down the protocol, but like just seeing how Racer handled that. And then ultimately I've been hacked, or not hacked, but
Mhm.
I've been compromised twice now, both pretty sizable. And which is unfortunate, different types of attacks. So like lessons learned, like those are the two lessons, is just like, man, you have to be overly cautious, like be very detailed. Like this
Mhm.
whole self-sovereign thing has a lot of downsides to it. And like the lessons learned from that are also just like how I think the industry is going to go. Like I think people are just going to continue to offload that stuff for the
Mhm.
niceties of like, it's just a lot of risk in owning your own shit and like being the only one that's holding your assets and your keys and everything.
I mean,
So like,
especially for someone like you who's so active and like so public on Twitter, I guess you have a
uh,
target on your back.
yeah, and like I don't even know that that's how that happened. The first one for sure. Like I remember I was at work and I just had MetaMask on my phone and I was like scrolling Twitter and I saw an airdrop and I was like, oh, sick. So I just like clicked a button. Bro, it just they drained me. So back in
Honestly,
2021, I thought it was a pudgy
that's
thing.
a way all of us have gotten trained for once at least, right? Like just an airdrop, you have to do it immediately. Like you have to click something and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
all your funds are gone.
Yeah, I vividly remember even now as like it kept asking me for approvals. I was like, I thought I said it. I thought I approved. I thought I approved. And it's like, oh, it's approving all of my stuff, and like they're just
Yeah.
taking everything. So it's like that was unfortunate. It's like that was. I'll say that's like my good and my bad. Where it's like
Okay.
that singular memory was just uh, yeah, I learned from that stuff, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It makes you human.
Yeah, I mean, it hardens you for later as well. So it's all good in hindsight, right? But in that moment, it's like the worst thing ever.
Yeah, man. The other one was like the guy, like another. So the one was just like a normal drain, clicking buttons, whatever. The other one was during the friend tech stuff. Some guys did like a phishing scam where they
Mhm.
impersonated a podcast. They thought they were talking to me, whatever. And then at the end, because it was a Privy embedded wallet, the actual attack vector was different. And I literally just like loaded up their site where I click a button, and they just took my private key. The second I click a button, I didn't have to do anything special, just whatever. And because it was embedded in there, they were able to get it, and they just drained
Mhm.
all my stuff. And those guys, the hackers, talked to me for like 2 months after. Like they were just like jerks. Like, man, sorry I had to do that. You know, I got to feed my kids too. And like, also, like, bro, like, what are you talking about? Like, this is like, it does not make any sense.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah.
they figure out some way to justify it to themselves, right? But it
Yeah.
never makes any
It's
sense.
insane. Yeah.
Okay. But like how did you decide to be so public on Twitter? Like why did you decide to build your presence? How did that start, right? Because I feel like a lot of people in crypto when they start, like I get this question a lot, like how do I build a presence on Twitter? So why did you decide to do it and how did you do that?
A lot of that probably comes from my previous career. So like, I'm technical by nature. I went to school for computer science and got hired on as like a technical role on a team. As I that role was not like super technical. I wasn't doing like full stack dev, but like I was having to write code and do whatever.
Hmm.
But that role had me interface with a lot of the higher ups and like the C suites throughout my journey of doing that role. So I was often the person that kind of was chosen to represent the technical team to people who were not technical, which meant I
Hmm.
spent a lot of time trying to break down the concepts that I understood from the technical side to people that were not technical. And just it's just kind of where I've always like gravitated towards, like educating, being good, like having to like articulate this stuff. And whenever I was still employed in my previous career, for about 3 years, 4 years, I was in the industry, usually as like a participant, but then as a builder for like a year and a half, 2 years. Like on
Hmm.
VeChain, I was building protocols. And eventually I was like, all right, I gotta do it full time. Like I gotta stop. I gotta do whatever. And that was whenever I was like, I need to now try to grow my account and like participate because it's the only way to do this thing. And my way to do that was like I'm good at educating. Like I'm good at talking about technical concepts. I understand what's going on with the blockchain. I noticed most of the social circles I hung out with did not understand the underlying. So I spent a lot of time on spaces talking about like what's actually going on and how this stuff works. And then I started drawing things and doing pictures and writing threads on how this stuff worked because I enjoyed doing it. Frankly, it helps me learn. It helps other people learn. They enjoyed it. And then just like through that, which is a combination of my educational threads, but then also trying to extract information from other key players in the industry, which is kind of what was so appealing. Like even right now, right? You can go there and you can talk to Tolly on the timeline. Tolly's someone who's built a, 100, $200 billion protocol, right? That's insane. Like Vitalik, right? So to be able to like go talk to these people and get insights and learn, educate and theorize on how the future of this industry is going to play out was just
Hmm.
really useful for me. I just kept doing that to all the big players, and it slowly started building up a decent following for me, and then yeah, I just kept going.
I mean, I think like learning and learning, building, educating in public, like that's the best way to do it. Like you're putting your opinion out, you can interact with people. But again, that's still a
Yeah.
cold start problem, right? Like that's the question everybody keeps coming back to. Like I've been writing content or like I've been doing things in public, but nobody's interacting. So I don't know if you have any advice for like people who are just starting out.
Yeah, so for me, it's always like way to kick off the flywheel is to engage with other people and not necessarily pump out your own content. Whenever I did a chart. I actually did like a personal growth seminar with a lot of the builders in the MegaETH ecosystem, and my recommendation for super small accounts, and these are like under 1,000 followers, it's like don't focus on doing your own content because like you're blasting it into a tunnel that has no one in it. It's you should be replying thoughtfully, mindfully to other large accounts, right? Because like your goal should be to grab a follow from these people, and the only way you're going to grab a follow typically, depending on like the group of people, is to pique their curiosity or stimulate them intellectually, right? So it's like that's how I did it, right? I wasn't tweeting a bunch, and therefore that got Tolly to follow me. I was whenever Tolly was having a conversation, I would inject myself into that conversation, try to be thoughtful, try to push back, try to like have an actual engaging conversation. And eventually that'll get you a follow, right? If you do it the right way, if you can meet the standards of these people and actually like stimulate their brain, then you can do your own tweets, right? Because like then once you like accumulate some of these people, like in fucking infinity stones, right? You go and you grab a couple of them, then whenever you tweet, there's a likelihood that you'll show up on their timeline. And if you are still talking to them in their comments, if they reply to you, like your stuff, do whatever, and then you post, like they will see your post, right? And
Mhm.
then there's the chance that they'll retweet you. And then there's the chance that all of their followers now will see you. And then like you get the flywheel going. But if you don't have that initial thing, which is them following you or them engaging with you, you get no distribution because you have zero
Mhm.
already. So it's
Yeah.
always contribute.
It's always the simplest stuff, right? Like it hasn't changed in the last what, like 5, 10 years. Like you just have to keep do the basics, like reply thoughtfully, be there. But I feel like a lot of people do it the other way, where they're like, I'm gonna tweet opinions. I have this opinion, like I'm gonna show how thoughtful or educated I am, but nobody is actually giving you that pedestal to listen to you right now, right? Like you have to build up that credibility. So I feel like that's the exact right advice for anyone. Like obviously, like start small, and try to add value rather than thinking that okay, you have a lot of value to give out to other people, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's pretty consistent. Like, I always just tell people to be super selfish, right? Honestly, like the reason that I was engaging the way that I was with all of these like big brains is because I wanted to extract information from them. And the only way to extract information from them was to like push them in the direction that I wanted with like my own thoughts and my own stuff. So if I had an actual question about their architecture or whatever, I'd push back on them. I'd get that information. I'd try to do it until they actually engage. And then maybe that's enough to like get them excited. But I did that because I wanted something. I wanted to
Mhm.
strengthen my understanding, or I wanted to invalidate or validate my own thought process. And that ended up in a position where yeah, I got a follower.
Okay, I mean, when we put this out, like maybe you'll get a lot more reply, guys, in your comments
Yeah,
now. Just
maybe.
trying to push
Yeah,
push you for your opinion.
as long as they're not robots. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always better. Let's talk about Mega ETH now. Like you could have worked on a lot of different things. Why did you choose Mega ETH, and why that bet for you?
It was because of the technical stuff. So like I was in that year-long journey of just like trying to participate in the ecosystem, writing about different protocols. I was starting to explore like writing like educational threads with partners and like getting paid for that. Frankly, like it always felt gross to me to like get paid to write stuff that I thought was especially because like half the time I didn't give a shit about it. And I don't care
Yeah.
about your protocol. Like I don't even if you pay me 10 grand, bro, I don't want to write about the 17th privacy L2, right? I don't care.
Mhm.
So like there's always that push pull with me, but I was like, like if I need to make this a career, I need to make money, which kind of sucked. Anyways, on that journey, like just like constantly looking on the timeline, trying to like go where my curiosities took me. I saw the MegaETH raise announcement. I think it was July of 24 is when it
Mhm.
was, where they announced Dragonfly and Vitalik and everyone. So I saw it at that time. And first I was like, man, that like I had heard about them before that. And I was like, scam. Like Mega is like such a scam name. There's no chance that's a real thing. Oh, sure, it's a gajillion TPS, whatever. Um, Claims were big, name was scammy, over it. But then I saw that raise announcement. It's like, all right, they have a white paper. So I read the white paper, I dug into it. And when I read the white paper, I was like, one, it was very thoughtful. And like you could tell these people were someone that had done, or a group of people that had like done this before. They did a lot of back testing. I was someone, if you follow my account, I'm typically a big stats dude. I go and I pull from different dashboards and like try to give relevance to like a lot of the metrics of this industry. And so they're pulling at my heartstrings by citing a lot of these things, like a lot of metrics in there and like doing back testing and showing where the bottlenecks are and blah, 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 blah. And I read it, and both the actual performance numbers they had plus their philosophy on where they think the industry is going, which was like trying to consolidate into a singular very large very performant ecosystem, single state environment like a Solana, which is, even though I'm from again VeChain, which is a fork of Ethereum, and then the Ethereum ecosystem, and I had even done some posts like Ethereum's going to flip Bitcoin, like all this shit. um I was drifting to the Solana mindset of like, man, I think these singular high density
Yeah.
ecosystems are what's going to win. Like
It's just so
it's less
simple, right?
noisy.
It's so simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, so I was drifting and I was like, I was bearish on like the L2 roadmap. I was starting to see how parasitic things were or whatever. But then they came with that construction and like, okay, it's a team that is not just like trying to replicate an L1 on top of an L1 to make like an L2, L1 hybrid thing that could run away. So one,
Mhm.
they're not replicating that and they're leaning into the actual architecture that is unique to an L2 and like taking advantage of that. So that was cool. It's like, okay, they're have a position advantage, like a structural advantage there. And then two, the outcome of that is that they have a bigger, faster environment than even a Solana can do, and it's defensible from a structural position. Like Solana could not do anything on this one, a couple of verticals to like to encroach on it. So I was like, okay, if my ph- philosophy is that like this is where the industry is going, then like this, I see this as an end state construction. So I saw that. I told them, I reached out. I was like, hey, super interested. I really like what you guys are doing. I recently took this up full time. And, you know, if you guys are looking for anything, you just let me know. Like I'll join the team. You know, I'm open, right? I'm willing to work with you guys. No expectations, just like whatever. They they initially rejected me and told me to go join Bing specifically. She's like, nah, it's like thank you, but like we're not hiring. Go join the Discord. Like no, I'm not joining the Discord. But I will say I will pay attention to you guys. I came in
Mhm.
for a couple AMAs. And then I just like went off and did my stuff and I kept writing about them. I kept demonstrating my domain expertise in like Twitter and stats and like showcasing them and doing all this stuff. And
So
eventually,
they really like played hard to get for you.
yeah, which is like, which is now I found we actually just brought on someone else who's this guy's brilliant. I'm really excited to have him on the team. But like he was rejected apparently earlier too, where he had asked, and then he's like, yeah, they said no, they rejected me, and then I asked again. So like it's pretty exciting to see that we have a lot of these high talent people getting rejected and then ultimately getting hired because they want to stick around. I think
Maybe
it's a good
somewhere
sign.
in the HR team there's a filter of like rejected people from must hire category.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Bullish rejections for sure.
Yeah. But like okay, so there's obviously a lot of good stuff going on for MegaETH, which is what like resonated with you, it excited you. But at the end of the day, it is another chain, right? And I'm sure you get this a lot, but like why do we need another chain?
I did a post about this probably 3 months ago, 6 months ago, where I was
Mhm.
like being honest, like open to everyone's like, guys, I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm building this chain, and sometimes I get in like the throes, and I'm like, man, do we really need another chain? Like I've got another chain. I keep seeing these things come to market, and so, but then ultimately I resolved to like, yeah, we do. And the reason that
Mhm.
we do, and like this is the key thing that I think is important, is like people sit here and they still look at like the current paradigm and like, ah, like things are good now. Like, yeah, we're we don't do we need another one? Like it's pretty good. But then if you look at like where we're starting to see bubbles of success, and you start to understand the capacity needs of that, and then you stack that up to the capacity available in a construction
Mhm.
like a MegaETH, which is so far and away what all these other chains are doing. Like we're doing this stress test now, right? Like if you look at what we're doing, we're pumping 2.5 gig of gas. We're oscillating between 20 and 30,000 TPS. Like we've done this stuff for a week, right? It's breaking everything around us. But if you go and you look like grow the pie throughput metrics, you can see that like man, we're doing I think it's like 70x the fullest chain, which is base, right? That's a 70x like gap that it can go, right? Which is insane. It breaks the chart entirely for every other chain, EVM chain that is on that chart, which is hilarious. But like, so okay, you're like, okay, but do we really need that much block space? Like, do we need all that? And my answer is absolutely, because you can go and you can look at something like a hyperliquid, right? Hyperliquid right now, the hyperps specifically, not hyper EVM,
Mhm.
hyperps, just that singular DEX or the DEX club, whatever. Um, is doing about 10,000 TPS average. Now they're lightweight. It's not it's quite the same as like everything else, but like that's what they're doing. Right. And if you think about that and you stack it up against a Solana, a Base, an Ethereum, or whatever, they're doing Ethereum's doing 17, maybe I think like 30 TPS now. Base is doing like 200. Sometimes it'll shoot up to like 1,000, 2,000. Solana's averaging between like 1,300 to like I think recently it's actually been pumping like 2, 3,000. Cool. But like none of those are hyperliquid. And you think about like, okay, what's the scope of a hyperliquid? Hyperliquid is just a perps thing. Like there's no general programming on it. It is doesn't even have commodities on it. It's all just like crypto assets. Now starting to
Mhm.
get some commodities and equities, but like it's not really there. So you're like, if you think about this singular use case, which is not even outside of our bubble yet and doesn't even have assets outside of our bubble. The demand of that, 10,000 TPS. And then you add launch pads, and then you add DeFi, and then you add liquidations, and then you add games, and then you add, and then you add, and then you add, and then you add. If you do that, you're like, man, there's no chain right now that can handle like the potential global demand for like what this technology can offer, right? So
Mhm.
like in that world where like we start talking about like global demand of like actual consumer apps, guys, we need hundreds of thousands of TPS, like hundreds of thousands, and we're talking like triple digits right now for base, right? That's not, we're so far away from where we need to be if we want to actually scale that it's needs. So like whenever I say that to myself and I walk through like what's required to have like an actual consumer app, it's like, man, we need so much more block space. We need so much more capacity. We need so much more. And that justifies me working on this because of the step change that it provides in scaling.
Mhm. I mean, that is very valid, right? Especially when you put into context the scale. Like you mentioned the graph, right? Like you're literally 70xing it or whatever. So why do you think like Mega ETH is the only one that's trying to like increase these ceilings, right? Because I feel like we've been tapped out in terms of throughput, where we feel like, okay, this is it. Like Solana is fast enough. This is what we get. But why do you think Mega ETH is the one that's like, no, this is literally just, we're just scratching the surface here. We can go so much higher.
So I know we're not the only ones that are trying to do this. I've read Solana's whole thing is IBRL. I think it's a combination of when you come to market and the technology you're built upon, and then two, just like mindset, right? Because like
Mhm.
Base, right? Base has actually been trying to scale up their actual system for 2 years, right? They had a period there where like every single week we're going to increase one M gas for whatever, and they were doing that, and they're still like trying to oscillate on it, but as I sit here and see what it takes to actually reach this kind of scale, there's not really like a single dial that you can turn that just
Mhm.
like, oh, we'll just go faster. Like these systems are so complex and there are so many considerations that you frankly like the road like your starting point dictates basically everything. Right. So if you're
Mhm.
starting, and this was my FUD point for hyper EVM, if you're starting at 30 TPS, 100 TPS, bro, in a live production system with these things have actual assets at stake where like you can't just like willy-nilly make changes, the iteration pace is just so slow. It's so
Mhm.
slow because there's so many considerations that you have to have for everything. And then like there's the actual like state that you have to worry about. Then there's like the state growth, there's the nodes, there's the users, there's the Merkle Patricia tree that is underlying the database. Like there are so many considerations that you have to have that I think most of these systems are or frankly going to be yeah, screwed over. Like it's
Mhm.
made me bullish on our performance because like everyone says like chains are going to be commoditized, performance is going to be commoditized. No, I mean like live systems take so long to iterate on. So if you take the bases again, 300 TPS, bro, you 100x or 100% that, and then you 100% that, and then you
Mhm.
100% that, bro, you're still only talking like 1500, 2000 TPS, right at that point. And if you think about you as a systems engineer, you're like, if you were going to tell literally all of your participants, hey guys, we're going to juice this 100%, you're like, wait, hold on, bro. Like we need, like you're seeing the node
Like
discussion
how?
going on. And yeah, you're like, bro, 100%, like all of, like, think about that. And but then you think like, you have to 100%, then 100%, then 100%, then 100% to get to it like a decent point. It's like the amount of like politics and considerations and testing and everything else that has to go into these systems actually doing that can be tough.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
But
yeah.
what is that one thing that you are focusing on that makes your starting point so much higher?
It's like one, we are actually leveraging like the constructions of an L2, right? So it's a single
Mhm.
sequencer, but that's that like basis single sequencer, they're not performant. So the thing that like is a real innovation, we've had two things. Well, the major one is our salt database. So like in EVM land, you have the Merkle Patricia tree. You know, that's the thing that is really slow to update, right? So you can't actually update this thing really quickly. And that's how we got our block times down to 10 milliseconds.
Mhm.
So our founders, Yilong and Lei, invented a new data structure, which is um, mathematically equivalent to the Merkle Patricia tree, but doesn't have the same like performance bottlenecks that it does. So that allows us to constantly sit there and update the actual like the state of the chain very, very, very rapidly, like the actual database.
Mhm.
And So that's like an invention that we have. And then the rest of it is honestly just like Yilong, who's the CEO, he's just a performance engineer, right? Like he spent a lot of time in like the Web 2 world, basically just like seeing how he can break data centers, right? He's like,
Mhm.
how can I send data from A to B as fast as possible, right? Like that's my goal. And he was doing this stuff in the nanosecond realm.
Mhm.
So he's just taking a lot of the tricks that he understood as a high-end world-class performance engineer, and he's applying that to the stacks that we have. So whether that's the client, whether that's the Kofi
What's
stack. So
his background? Like, what did he work on before this?
I don't have like I don't know if there's like a singular project that's like the
Mhm.
the crowning thing, but
Yeah.
he was a, a PhD in low latency systems from Stanford, right? So like
Mhm.
his entire career is literally just like studying like the vanguard of performance engineering from in an academical sense. So like, and then that's how we found Lei. Lei is our other CTO. He's from MIT, graduated in consensus systems and low latency data. So like those two are just like that's what they do is that they just do some high end optimizations.
Nice. I guess like that's what uh, allows you guys to be like a real time blockchain, right? Like, what does a real time blockchain actually mean? Like in simple words, right? Because this is not like technical terminology. This is like more so made to feel something, right?
Yeah, it's just the responsiveness of the chain. Like that's entirely what it is, right? So
Mhm.
if you think about all the components that go into a chain, to like for us in the EVM world, and so that's Ethereum, and that's Base, that's Arbitrum, that's whatever. Um, block times are what dictate everything, right?
Mhm.
So, and block times are usually a factor of consensus to a degree. Like it's the time that you allow for consensus to take place to like vote on what the next block is. So one, because we're in L2, we don't actually have consensus. We don't need consensus. We'll never have it. That allows us to not have to worry about considerations of like voting and reviewing things to like actually make them the actual true block. So like that's one. Like we
Mhm.
don't have that consideration, which means like all other L2s also don't have that consideration. But so then the next thing is that we don't like we use the performance engineering to get the time down to basically zero, and that's where the salt database, all that stuff comes in. So, but the like that creates this block time, which is basically zero. We're shrinking it to we're at 10 milliseconds now. We're trying to shrink it down to zero, 1 millisecond.
Mhm.
Um, once that is zero, now you think about the full round trip of you as a user submitting something to the chain, whether that's a tap on a trading app or clicking a button on Crossy Fluffle trying to hop the road with your bunny. It's you sending your transaction to the chain receiving it, executing it, and then giving you the update of like this is now the new state of the world, and you got your response.
It's like
And
instant.
instant, right? So real time is like what we're
Mhm.
calling it. So we're
Mhm.
trying to shrink this time, which was typically go and it would sit and you go one, two, and then it would send back to you. It's just send back. And it makes it basically an API call where it used to be like like we literally had to create a new RPC method because our response time was too fast for like traditional models. Because everyone today, most of these apps, what they would do like on Ethereum, you send your transaction and you sit there and you have to keep pinging the blockchain, say, hey, or the node or RPC, you say, hey, is it done? 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 And then eventually it'll say, here's your receipt, you're good. And we can execute and produce receipts so fast that it actually returns in the call. So instead of a send, pull, it's send, receive, just like an API call. Like you get it in the response.
Mhm.
Basically makes it instant.
I mean, almost in a very simplistic way. Like, I'm obviously not a blockchain engineer or an expert, right? But it sounds like you've optimized for performance and throughput as the North Star. And then you've looked at all the existing models and then you've removed all the bloat, right? Like, whatever makes your chain slower, we don't want that. And then you've like innovated and optimized on the existing stuff. That's what makes you guys like different in the market.
I would say that's accurate. Yeah, it's a really just a super pragmatic approach to designing these systems, saying that a lot of the fluff that has led to
Uh-huh.
and like it doesn't make like Ethereum very robust, but like a lot of that fluff is not necessary for our construction because we have an Ethereum. We are trying to expand the surface area for creativity and apps and whatever. So we are trying to innovate in the latency space. It's like the
Mhm.
first like the first um uh, co- like competition vector was capacity, right? Ethereum
Mhm.
was 17 TPS capacity for the longest time. So Solana came around and said, okay, well, we can do, you know, 2000, right? It's like, okay, it's a 10x on capacity. And then now we believe the next like competitive edge, our vertical is going to be on latency. So it's not
Mhm.
how much can you do, it's how fast can like you respond. And in that regard, we operate in a space that like cannot be competed on by any chain with consensus, which is all L1s.
Mhm. I mean, there's a take on the timeline that goes like MegaETH is the Ethereum's answer to Solana, right? And do you agree with that framing? Because even in your example, like how you framed it, Solana came in and 10x or 100x Ethereum, and then now you're coming in and you're saying we're going to 100x whatever you guys were doing, and like kind of take over that mantle of the most performant chain.
Yeah, that's our intention, and that's with our stress test. That's what we're trying to showcase, like that there is a 10x that's left in this space. Because I think right now the consensus is that oh, performance is solved, everything's good enough, and we're here to show that like 10x is usually like the switching cost number that you always hear. Like, no one's going to go to the new product unless the new product is 10x better than the previous product, right? Other than that, it's just like incremental doesn't matter. So we're here to show with this recent test, and as we through mainnet, that there is a 10x left, and this is what it looks like, this is what it feels like, and we're going to try to convince developers to take advantage of it.
And I think I saw one of your tweets where you said like in that period where Solana came in, Ethereum lost like a lot of users, capital, and just like resources in general. So do you foresee that you can pull all of that back towards the EVM world?
Yeah. I think we're already seeing it. So I think there's like two cohorts of people. There's a lot of people who have been starved inside of the EVM space who have never left, right? We're getting a lot of interest from developers who are just like, finally, I can write a smart contract on an EVM environment that can process what I want. Or because we can do stuff that is far, like our contract sizes are 512 kilobytes and the current ones on mainnet are 24. So it's like, what is that? 18x or something like that. So it's just like a lot of these niceties, like, oh, finally, I can do this thing. So like there's that cohort. And then yes, there are people who have straight up left the ecosystem because they did not have the outlet inside of the Ethereum ecosystem that allowed for them to do that. And I'll
Mhm.
even be like a little bit of like touchy on this like Ethereum's answer stuff because like it is an answer to that inside of your Ethereum ecosystem. We do settle to Ethereum. We have a relationship, but like I I'm of the mind. Remember, I was like drifting towards the Solana ecosystem. I think it should be clear that like Ethereum and MegaETH are two separate things. Like
Mhm.
we have a relationship that's like beneficial to one another. Ethereum is our native gas token. It has a privileged position in our ecosystem. We're going to create net new surface area for these people to actually like build on. But like MegaETH is its own thing. Ethereum is its own thing. And I want Ethereum to continue to be a strong, dominant chain. And I think they actually need to continue to increase their execution so that they don't rely on us to just do everything. Right? Ethereum stands on its own and continues to grow and thrive.
And I think it is going in that direction, right? Because there's a lot
I do
of
too.
like protocol level upgrades coming up that's making the chain more performant, like faster. And the transaction numbers are actually looking good at this
Saw
point
that.
as well. Like I think I saw a tweet that said there was an all-time high last week. But why do you think we need like a stronger Ethereum? Like it's almost a dumb question, but why do you think that is important for crypto? Because I feel like sometimes we don't give enough importance to Ethereum, which almost like started everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, like so stronger is kind of like a nebulous term. So like even me saying I want a stronger Ethereum, but like what does that mean? All right. So
Yeah.
for me, stronger to me means I want like I think the industry largely is boiling down to execution is where all the value is. And I
Mhm.
think we're going to continue to see um we're going to continue to see a pull towards evaluation metrics. A lot of our tokens that is closer to like the execution fees, like the fees that they generate, right? So like
When
people are
you
going to do these
say
discounted
execution,
cash.
like what do you mean? Like the chain layer or
Yeah, like just having actual usage, right? Like have like people transacting on the chain. Because like
Mhm, mhm.
there's two theoretical value props to Ethereum, right? The one is like, oh, people use the chain and it generates fees. Those fees go to the validators. The validators make money. Therefore, you want to buy Ethereum because you'll get money from the people who are transacting on top. It's like that's the one, that's execution. The other is like monetary value, where it's like Ethereum, the token, has been proliferated throughout the ecosystem so much that you need the asset to do things like DeFi, whatever. And therefore you buy Ethereum for that reason. Right? You need it as an access token to things. That second one that I just described is what the value that we are going to bring to Ethereum, the asset, right? Where
Mhm.
you say on MegaETH, someone someday will build something that can only exist for ETH the asset on MegaETH, right? It's like that's going to exist. So then for that instance, people are going to buy Ethereum to do that thing. An example of that that's already live is like virtuals on base, right? People buy ETH the asset to participate in virtuals AI agents on base, right? So it's a value prop for Ethereum.
Makes sense.
Um, the execution though, I want people to actually like go to Ethereum, transact on Ethereum, play on Ethereum, do whatever. It's just that Ethereum will never in its evers get to the point where MegaETH is on performance. So like it won't ever be able to do all of the things that we can do. So like do what you can do, scale execution, but only do it to maintain like your actual decentralization properties because like that's its core value. Its core value is that it's credit neutral, it's decentralized, it's like all those things, right? That's what it needs to preserve, but
I mean,
also still get users.
to me it almost feels like when I read the Ethereum roll up roadmap, there was all of these use cases mentioned, right? Like beyond financial apps there's a whole world of consumer apps that should come on chain, and that was the roll up roadmap that we all of us envision. But like I haven't really seen too many experiments, I would say. Like there are obviously social apps to a certain extent, but like we don't have games, we don't have like any other apps that we used to in like web 2 or the real world. But I guess Mega ETH is the first time that I'm actually seeing proper games come on chain, and it feels like a game. It doesn't feel like a crypto game, right? Like it's almost weird to say a crypto game because like who plays a game thinking that, oh, this is like a back end dash game, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
it actually feels like a proper games are coming on chain at this point, and surprisingly, like even before launch, or like you guys are not even on mainnet yet, but there are things to try out in the game sector, which I haven't seen in any other ecosystem yet.
Yeah, so like the stress test, we actually brought 4 games live, and that is on
Mhm,
mainnet. So like that was the point of the stress test. We pushed the chain to the 18, 20, 25,000. I think we were at 31,000 at one point TPS. And while we were doing that, we let people play games on top of it to see that like, look, man, like it's gonna take us a long time to get organic demand to this level. And even still, costs are cheap, chain is responsive, right? So like
mhm, mhm.
it lets developers see that and go like, oh my God, like there's a future here. This thing is set for the next 5, 10 years while it like builds up this ecosystem. And I won't have to worry about a day where prices go to infinity because it can't handle the load, right? We are showing that. But yeah, like those games are live and they're doing whatever. And that's something that we focused on. And a lot of that is downstream of what we talked about earlier, which is focusing on latency, focusing on responsiveness, making it a real time chain. And the reason that is like, if you download something on your phone from the app store, right, you're clicking a button. When you click a button, you're in today's day and age when everything is compressing, you click a button, you expect it to pop the confetti, to do the
Yeah.
thing, to do whatever, right? And just like the we most chains, because of the time it takes for them to actually execute a transaction, don't provide that experience. They can't right now with all the guarantees that you want. So we've optimized specifically for that outcome, and I think we've done a good job of it.
Mhm.
Hopefully, it
I
unlocks
mean,
apps.
yeah, I mean that is the right framing, right? Like the app builder should be opinionated about which chain they should build on because that's the backend for their application,
Hmm.
right? But
Yep.
but because like of how the ecosystem has shaped up, like it's almost as if users should have an opinion as well, which I don't think makes any sense, right? Because it doesn't matter which chain the app lives on for the users. It matters for the app builders, and I think like because you guys have just expanded the surface area so much that all of these constraints are now out of the picture. Like Mega ETH will power a lot of things, but it wouldn't matter to the users. Like the user will never know that Mega ETH is powering this because it was almost like we only knew about Ethereum or we only heard about Solana because we knew about all of these constraints, right? Like the gas fees is
Hmm.
so high, or Ethereum is not scaling. Like I don't need to know as a user. The chain should just work.
Yeah, that I've actually had a couple conversations. I guess it was last week with some builders that had that same mentality, and that's ultimately like my bullish outcome for Mega, where it's like in the world where I think these ideological and theological lines between these chains come down, right? Right now, like we're in this nerd phase where all of us are like, oh, your consensus mechanism is 4 out of 7, and you need to do 2 rounds of the like, man, my mom is never going to have that conversation, right? She's never going to have those considerations. She doesn't understand what's going on. And as that continues to happen, and as like apps stop getting scorned for like the ecosystem that they live in, and they're only talked about based on the experience that they provide, they're
Yeah.
naturally just going to gravitate to the execution environment that provides the best experience for their app, right? So if you can come to Mega and you can port over your app basically one to one, and now it's just more responsive, like yeah, you're probably going to do that because it provides a better experience. You're going to abstract everything away, right? No one's going to know that it's ETH or a dollar or a fucking a flippity flop, right? No one knows. They're not going to care. It's going to be just a dollar on the front end and on the back end.
Yeah.
It's all going to be abstracted away, and they're going to do whatever, and it's going to be a good experience because it can do it. I literally had someone on the last one of our calls just go like, "Yeah, man, I consider you are AWS. It's like I just don't want to have to worry about you. Like I want you to make us responsive, and we'll do our thing. You do your thing. Cool,
I think
sick,
that
love
that
it."
is the future of crypto, right? But just to spell it out, like if you zoom out, what do you think is next for crypto as an industry, like in terms of adoption and also just the kind of applications that we're going to see?
It's hard to argue against the proliferation of stablecoins and how much that unlocks for a lot of efficiencies just throughout everything. So like obviously stablecoins is something we've had PMF on. Um, And as like cliche as it is, I honestly just like tokenization, man. Like it provides so much, and I think again, as time goes on and the stigma associated to crypto decays away because more and more people get familiar with it and use it, and it's plugged into Stripe and all your banks and all the everythings, and it's just normal to send digital assets. Then we'll continue to tokenize stuff. So you see the RWA stuff come on chain. That's like all the Pokemon cards. It's whatever, it's the
Mhm.
gold that's coming on chain, allowing to be able to send stuff back and forth in a digitized
I mean,
fashion.
it
Even stuff
sounds
like
so
the
boring, but
IPOs and stocks.
that is the future, right? Like just
It's
tokenization of
access.
everything.
Yeah, it's access. Yeah, it's taking way longer because like we do have to we do have to back into a lot of legacy systems to be compliant and for them to actually like be comfortable with us.
Mhm,
But it's coming, man.
mhm. And what role do you think Mega ETH will play in making this a reality?
We were talking about like what we want to be at, or where our verticals are post mainnet, things we want to focus on. And I
Mhm,
think it is largely just going to be us, one, like focusing on consumer experiences because we can actually facilitate like a good UX. So like trying to push that vertical, that's consumer stuff. That's
mhm.
like shouting out names. That's like Euphoria, Hit One, even some of these games, Alpha Forge, whatever happening on Mega. And then trading, I think like will be a good trading hub. And when you say trading, that applies to all assets, right? So that means commodities, that means stocks, that means probably some prediction market stuff. Like people are going to want to be able to uh, yeah, speculate in rapid fashion. It will be the most rapid chain out there. So yeah, I think that's
Nice.
how we contribute. We'll just be a good venue on the EVM side. It's finally the FAFO ecosystem inside of the Ethereum ecosystem,
You
like
can just
counter to
do
Solana.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just do things. Yeah. Like
Nice.
I don't think people have been able to experiment truly inside of the EVM space.
Mhm. I mean, that is a super exciting thing for the ecosystem, right? Because I feel like Ethereum in general is lacking some of that experimentation because like we've just gotten so used to how things operate. Like nobody's asking those questions anymore. Because I don't know, like maybe it's a mindset shift that the entire ecosystem needs, right? Like this is possible now. You can just fuck around and find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly. That's how I've described the chain. Is like because I think Solana does have that energy and they've had it for a while where you see experimentation, you see people like, yeah, exploring over there. And I don't feel like I've had a place for that energy inside of the Ethereum EVM bubble for a while. And I've seen that in early chats with developers coming and playing and doing stuff. And I'm hoping to continue to foster it.
What do you think like is something that crypto Twitter is missing about Mega ETH? Because there's obviously been a lot of chatter, but what do you think is one thing that hasn't come up yet?
I don't know that it hasn't come up yet, but I think they're still missing it is people are still up like people have a lot of preconceived notions with the construction and they don't realize how hardened we can actually make something that is like obviously there's a lot of FUD around L2s and admin keys and all that stuff, which are all valid. Like those are all things that people should consider. But I think there are a lot of stuff that can be done by a team as talented and thoughtful as Elong and Lay to harden the system to make it basically on par with some of these L1s, which are, singular chains trying to do everything. It's consensus, it's data availability, it's everything.
Mhm.
We're just like leaning into the modular stuff. So I think even for myself, like I was skeptical of the model coming in, but it can be done. There's a lot of cool stuff.
Nice. I mean, like I'm all for this pushing the boundaries of crypto. So I feel like what MegaETH is doing is great for the industry, and it should bring in a lot of experimentation, a lot of excitement. And now that the launch is almost like just a week away, I can only wish you the best.
Yeah, yeah. I guess since we announced it today, if anyone's listening on this, it's September, not September. Jesus, it's already got me. We did we did it 02, 09, whatever,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I was like, guys, we can't post it this way. People are gonna flip it in their heads. They're gonna think it's September, not February. And I just did it because people were
I
commenting
think
on it after we did the
I
post.
should like
February 9th is
I
the date.
should clip this and quote tweet it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've already been 40, and I was like, guys, I told you. It's all over my feed.
Nice. All the best for the launch, and thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that, man. It was fun.
Thank you.